Hi there, my name is Brittany Flandrick, and I am an NSED 321, and I'm going to share with you a little bit with you about science and how I feel about it through my digital science story. Let's begin. What represents science to you? What represents science to me is experimentation. So whenever I think about science, I think about experiments because in order to find out information or in order to figure out something, we usually have to do like some sort of experiment to get some sort of end result to understand why something is what it is. What you look up on the internet today, um, and what you see every day, honestly, when you walk around, is some sort of experiment. And so that's one way that science is represented to me. Another way I represent science, and when I think about the word science, is nature. So, as a person who loves nature through and through, I think that science is the most in nature and not just what you can see, but also what you can't see, in the molecules and the different bacteria in the water. And also when it comes to nature too as well, is how we started as human beings in nature and how even the world started, right? Because we weren't here right away when the world started. And it was just nature taking over. And so science to me is represented in nature, in that it's pretty much everything. It was here before we were. So the next thing is what sort of a science learner were you? What successes and challenges did you have as a learner? I am someone who, as a science learner, I like to experiment, so I'm all about experiments to figure out information. I'm a visual learner, mostly a visual learner and a auditory learner, so I do really well with pictures, with visual directions, and I do really well with listening to things. So, which is good because I do online courses, so that makes sense for me too as well. So when it comes to science, I love to observe up close and personal. And so that is why I put the binoculars up there, because I like to see things up close and personal. And I like to see things from the front of you. And then another thing too is that I'm a person who doesn't mind getting their hands dirty. I don't mind getting out in nature, getting out in the world, getting my hands dirty to understand something, to get close, to see the process happening. Um, so that's why I put the woman in nature, because that would be me, minus the bugs, because I'm not a bug person at all, but that's okay. And that is what I was as a science learner. Now, my successes, again, experiments. I'm very good at experiments, following directions, visually seeing things up close. Now, my challenges are really about making sure I was following the right processes. So, if we talk about the scientific process of uh, hypothesis, and then it was experimentation. And I mean, again, because I don't know it very well right now, even though I've taken a couple classes, some of the challenges was making sure to go through the processes of, finding or making a hypothesis and then going through with the experiment and then figuring out was it wrong. And so that was something that I had as a challenge as a learner. Another thing too is I personally, again, tests for me are not very good. So if I'm being tested on something, sometimes I have to really study for it. And that was my challenges as a science learner. Nature of science teaching and learning. What sort of a science teacher do you aspire to be? Well, honestly, I think everybody aspires to be Bill Nye the Science Guy, because he really is such a great scientist. And he's not just a TV personality, but he is, in fact, a real scientist. And what I loved about his shows was not only really fun, but they were educational. So, as a teacher, I aspired as a science teacher, not just as a teacher. As a science teacher, I aspire to be someone that encourages students to take their curiosity and to form that into something. To let students be curious about what's going on and to be able to put their hands on it and do it. And I want it to be fun. I want to help them, and I want to help it to be fun. And that's what I aspire to be as a science teacher, is that. Another thing too is I want students to be able to know that it's okay to make mistakes, and that when you make mistakes, you are able to do it better the second time. And that is an amazing thing, because then at that time I'm also teaching them the processes of being a scientist. So that is what I aspire to be. Bill Nye the Science Guy, to be fun and to let children build on their curiosity. List 2 areas you feel comfortable about and 2 areas you want to learn about. So I am comfortable with content, integration skills, planning and instruction. Pedagogy, I apologize, I have a hard time saying that word. Pedagogy, I am pretty decent at it. I think I could still do some work with. But I think the 2 big things that I definitely could use some work with is, again, the process skills based on what I told you earlier, and then learning how to properly do assessments with science. I think that that is a great skill. And then along with the process skills, having that down to be able to teach my students that much better. A lot of times when I do science experiments now, I forget certain parts of the process to doing a science experiment. And so I would like to be able to have that down, so then I can do better. But again, I'm very, very comfortable with pedagogy, content, and integrated skills, so being able to integrate that, and then planning and instruction. I'm pretty decent with those. What does science for all mean to you, and provide specific examples? Well, I think science to me, when I think science to all, is to be able to have everyone participate if they want to. I think that it's important to go at your students' pace and to go off of them, to go off of their own pace, their own curiosity. I think it's also important to be able to have important conversations about science, about the specific subject, and let students know that it's okay to ask questions, because again, that's what a scientist does. A scientist asks questions, and then you're able to answer those questions and know that it's okay. There's no ridiculous questions. And any sort of tough conversations that may come up during science, which could happen just like any other conversation any other day, know that that is a learning moment, and those are important things. Last but not least, being able to circle around the specific subject, being able to talk about it more in depth every single day, to basically build it up so that I am matching to every student's needs wherever I need to be, to meet them where they need to be, or meet them where I need to meet them to be, and to know that I am here as a support. Because just like math, just like social studies, and basically any other subject, not every person is great at science. And I think it's important to know that that is okay, and to be able to teach students that I'm here to help you, and that it's okay to struggle. And to know that science is for everyone. And it may not be in the way that we're doing it now, but even when you walk outside and you step in a puddle and you step in it really hard and you let it splash, that's science, that's gravity. The water's coming back down. Science is everywhere. And to know that you can do it no matter what. And that is what I think science for all means, is everyone and anyone can do it, no matter who you are, where you come from, because the truth is it's not just, it's literally outside your door, no matter where you are. So, and that is the end of my presentation. The last 2 slides are my sources. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.